Fox News military analyst Colonel David Hunt and Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer join us tonight. It's good to have you gentlemen here. What we're hearing is shocking, that the CIA was denied the help that they needed 3 times. We know that there was a drone, guys, that was over Benghazi with a live feed of what was going on the ground. Where was that feed going, Colonel? The feed was actually 2 drones. And they're also listening on a telephone to the State Department, and they're also listening on a military secured channel from the CIA on the ground to the CIA in Langley. But the feeds you're talking about go to about 15 different headquarters, starting with Europe Command, to the National Military Command Center, to the White House Situation Room, to the CIA, and on and on. All right. A massive amount of information visually was going on instantaneously while this was happening. And of course, this is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Lieutenant Colonel. I mean, it's not like people weren't there. Plus, it's going to the White House, the Pentagon, Department of State. Those places are staffed with high-level personnel to access this kind of information.
Oh, absolutely. And once the critical incident report went out, everybody's fixated on this. I mean, you almost become just a robot watching this. And this was in the middle of the business day in Washington. So everybody, the White House, CIA, Pentagon, everybody was watching this go down in real time. Never have communications been better with the field than what we have now. And this was also our 4th embassy in about 24 hours being attacked. All right. The entire U.S. government was paying attention. All right. So let's assume this is going on from 9:40 until after 4 in the morning. Do you need the president to approve a military intervention? Yeah. Yes. Yes. The Secretary of Defense gives the order, approved by the White House, period. That's the only person that can do it. All right. Do we know if the president watched this? I hate to say this. According to my sources, yes, he was one of those in the White House Situation Room in real time watching this. And the question becomes, what did the president do or not do in the moments he saw this unveiling? Only he could issue a directive to the Secretary of Defense Panetta to do something. That's the only place it could be done. All right, and we know he was in the White House. We know that he met with the Vice President and Leon Panetta at 5 o'clock that day. That's correct. In the White House. Okay, so it's inevitable that they'd have a conversation. Yes? Yes. About this. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Now, the president decides not to send help after, this fight is going on for hours. Why would he do that? It's always political, because the military had moved forces to Sigonella, Italy. So we were within 20 minutes of jets to support Libya. We had within 2 hours of AC-130 gunship and about 2 hours of 2 special forces operations, one of which is Delta Force, which happened to be training in Europe. They get moved to Sigonella. So which is right across the Mediterranean. 2 hours. Like I said, we got jets on the ground. We could have jets in the air within 20 minutes, force on the ground within 2 hours. And the issue is always political with the White House. But the Secretary of Defense gives the order, has to be approved by the White House. They wouldn't pull the trigger, and it's disgraceful. I mean, we've got guys dead. Okay, and then what we've got Ty Woods, who decided to break rank and said, look, I'm going in, because the ambassador could still have been alive. Absolutely. And let's remember that during the Reagan White House in '83, we had a similar situation in Grenada. We had students on the ground. The president was briefed. There was a vote taken, and even the SecDef then, Cap Weinberger said, let's not go. It's too risky. Reagan said, go. It was a political decision based on saving lives. All right, guys, very quickly, I just have a few seconds. What is Ty Woods thinking as he's calling for help and has got his mortar, his laser on the mortars? Ty Woods is just doing his job as a great sailor. But he knows the cavalry's not coming in. He's doing his job. That's what he's trained to do. He's probably thinking about the fact he's given every ounce of his strength of his life for this country, and he's calling for the cavalry, and his last thoughts were, I thought they'd come. Okay.
The Benghazi terrorists provided select video of their attacks on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya, to the news media shortly after the attack was over. Surprisingly, it now appears that portions of the consulate terrorist attack video actually aired on CNN even before Glenn Doherty and Tyrone Woods were killed. The focus of this video is the pre-attack sequence at the B1 gate. This video is best viewed after you visit my Flickr account, Benghazi Gates. There you can download the consulate map now on the screen for easy reference. In order to clarify much of what you are seeing, I have inserted video stills with key information throughout the video. You can easily pause on these frames to study the image and then continue. This photo shows the U.S. Consulate C1 main gate. Jersey-style concrete barriers and 2 heavy steel gates are in place to control vehicular entry. In this post-attack photo, you can see that one of the black and orange swing gates is in the up position. You can just barely make out a tan tower structure jutting up behind the trees. This landmark feature clarifies the location at which most of the video sequences in this video were recorded. You can also see the location of gate B1 in the distant background. A single Jersey-style barricade is in front of this gate. Both of these gates are along the northern property line of the American compound. This main gate photo shows that the gate itself is still intact after the attack. Actually, the terrorists just walked right into the compound. The lone surveillance camera can pan the main entry area. This main gate surveillance camera photo was taken on June 6, 2012 at 1:31 a.m. following a terrorist attack in which a bomb was detonated along the wall to the right of the C1 main gate. Notice the limited field of view provided by the lone surveillance camera. No one was killed in the blast. However, the blast did breach the wall, creating easy access for any would-be terrorist. The location of the bomb attack was a not-so-subtle warning to the Libyan militia forces that help protect our consulate. Their barracks are located behind the location of the blast. The video camera coverage was grossly inadequate for security surveillance at this location, the main entry point to the consulate. During the investigation of the June 6 bomb attack, I contend that this photo had to be shared with the Secretary of State, and yet no video surveillance improvements were made between that attack and the one on 9/11/12. This short clip implies that a terrorist team is arriving. The dirt road tells you that they are not on the road in front of the consulate, which is paved. This next sequence shows one of the terrorists taking control of the scene when he captures an unarmed security guard. The guard appears to be a young man. He is wearing a navy blue vest over a long white t-shirt. His body language suggests that he is fearful. He puts his hands out away from his body to show that he is unarmed and harmless. He is completely passive. Unarmed guards can be found providing the exterior of U.S. embassies with security around the world. They are observers. Their main weapons are their powers of observation and a two-way radio. In this case, neither weapon worked. As the video returns to live action, take a look at the back of the Blue Mountain security guard's vest, and you will see what appears to be white text in the center of his back. If he's not a security guard, he sure picked a bad night to take a stroll in front of the U.S. consulate. Next, we see several terrorists walking around near a security light. After examining this sequence frame by frame, I suspect that one of the terrorists is wearing the same type of uniform as the young security guard. From this point forward, the terrorists have spliced the video, removing short segments for no apparent reason. The conversation sounds like it is continuous despite the short deletions. I suspect the splicing was done to hide the fact that one of the terrorists is in fact wearing a Blue Mountain security uniform. If so, did they take it from the security guard they captured, or was this an inside job? You can see for yourself in the slow motion sequence in this segment.
كلاب والله يا اخي منور ما طلعت بالحوش انت كيف جوه متقربه سيارات والله ما قصرت بارك الله فيك اقول لك حاجه والله يا راجل ما معي لقينا يا راجل غادي يسكروا الكاميرا كروا فينا ونيه خلي راجل يصور.
In this photo you can see the gate very clearly. This is the B1 gate. What is unusual about this security light is its close proximity to the ground. At a little over 9 feet, it is readily accessible without a ladder for 2 men. There is an object that may be a security camera just to the left of the light, but the resolution and darkness of the video make it impossible to verify what the object is. One would certainly assume that each gate had a security camera, but who knows for sure? Well, the Americans guarding the compound and the State Department managers watching the attack know. There appears to be a frame that could be a reinforced structure for a man door in this gate. A man door allows entry for pedestrians without the need to open the large gate. In this photo you can see the tower structure, the C1 main gate, and a distinct landmark building. Because there was a splice in this video at the point when the camera is aimed at the C1 main gate, unless you recognized the B1 gate, you could not prove that the terrorists were always so close to the U.S. compound, and specifically at the B1 gate. They could have been standing around any residential security gate in Benghazi, and there are a lot of them. There's one a little further down the road. The landmark building to the right in this photo appears to be a 3-story structure. You would be able to see directly into the consulate compound from the 3rd floor, and since it is directly across the street from the Diplomatic Security Special Agent's quarters, an observer perched on the 3rd floor could easily alert his fellow terrorist of any security agent movements towards the B1 gate. On November 1st, Foreign Policy magazine reported that on 9/11/12, Ambassador Stevens had reported to Libyan authorities that a local policeman was seen taking photographs of the compound from a building across the street. Al Jazeera reporter Hoda Abdel Hamid explains what she was told by eyewitnesses who saw the attack underway at the B1 gate.
This is the gate from which the attackers entered the grounds of the consulate. Now, according to the witnesses here, they were in 4 cars with black flags and were heavily armed. Their first stop was that building.
In this video still, you can see that the B1 gate matches the one seen in the terrorist video, and the landmark building behind the B1 gate matches the poor resolution building in the dark. You can see a 5th building is present at the compound. What its purpose is, I am not sure, but the presence of a satellite dish on the roof suggests it is related to communications. In this photo, taken during a testimony of State Department Security Manager Charlene Lamb, you can see that the gray building location has been colored over in gray. I believe the building and its purpose were discussed in the classified House oversight hearing prior to her public testimony. Ambassador J. Christopher Stevens deserved the best America could give him. He died because he received the least America could give him. Even after his death, for the most part, the American news media let him down, and those who will follow him by failing to report the news. It's that simple.
The C-SPAN networks bring you long-form public affairs programming from the nation's capital and are a public service of your television provider. C-SPAN, created by cable.
Good morning. I'm here to give you an update on the FBI's investigation of Secretary Clinton's use of a personal email system during her time as Secretary of State. After a tremendous amount of work over the last year, the FBI is completing its investigation and referring the matter to the Department of Justice for a prosecutive decision. What I want to do today is 3 things. I want to tell you what we did, I want to tell you what we found, and I want to tell you what we're recommending to the Department of Justice. This is going to be an unusual statement in at least a couple of ways. First, I'm going to include more detail about our process than I ordinarily would, because I think the American people deserve those details in a case of intense public interest. And second, I have not coordinated this statement or reviewed it in any way with the Department of Justice or any other part of the government. They do not know what I'm about to say. The referral focused on whether classified information was transmitted on that personal system. Our investigation looked at whether there is evidence that classified information was improperly stored or transmitted on that personal system in violation of a federal statute that makes it a felony to mishandle classified information either intentionally or in a grossly negligent way, or a second statute making it a misdemeanor to knowingly remove classified information from appropriate systems or storage facilities. And consistent with our counterintelligence responsibilities, we have also investigated to determine if there is evidence of computer intrusion by nation states or by hostile actors of any kind. Secretary Clinton used several different servers and administrators of those servers during her 4 years at the State Department. And she also used numerous mobile devices to send and to read email on that personal domain. As new servers and equipment were employed, older servers were taken out of service, stored, and decommissioned in various ways. When one of Secretary Clinton's servers was decommissioned in 2013, the email software was removed. That didn't remove the email content, but it was like removing the frame from a huge unfinished jigsaw puzzle and then dumping all the pieces on the floor. The effect was that millions of email fragments ended up in the server's unused or slack space. FBI investigators also read all of the approximately 30,000 emails that Secretary Clinton provided to the State Department in 2014, where an email was assessed as possibly containing classified information. The FBI referred that email to any government agency that might be an owner of that information, so that agency could make a determination as to whether the email contained classified information at the time it was sent or received. From the group of 30,000 emails returned to the State Department in 2014, 110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received. 8 of those chains contained information that was top secret at the time they were sent. 36 of those chains contained secret information at the time, and 8 contained confidential information at the time. That's the lowest level of classification. Separate from those, about 2,000 additional emails were up-classified to make them confidential. Those emails had not been classified at the time that they were sent or received. The FBI also discovered several thousand work-related emails that were not among the group of 30,000 emails returned by Secretary Clinton to State in 2014. With respect to the thousands of emails we found that were not among those produced to the State Department, agencies have concluded that 3 of those were classified at the time they were sent or received, 1 at the secret level and 2 at the confidential level. There were no additional top secret emails found, and finally, none of those we found have since been up-classified. I should add here that we found no evidence that any of the additional work-related emails were intentionally deleted in an effort to conceal them in some way. Our assessment is that, like many email users, Secretary Clinton periodically deleted emails, or emails were purged from her system when devices were changed. Because she was not using a government account or even a commercial account like Gmail, there was no archiving at all of her emails. So it's not surprising that we discovered emails that were not on Secretary Clinton's system in 2014 when she produced those 30,000 some emails to State. It could also be that some of the additional work-related emails that we've recovered were among those deleted as personal by her lawyers when they reviewed and sorted her emails for production in late 2014. The lawyers doing the sorting for Secretary Clinton in 2014 did not individually read the content of all of her emails as we did for those available to us. It's also likely that there are other work-related emails that they did not produce to State and that we did not find elsewhere and that are now gone because they deleted all emails they did not produce to State, and the lawyers then cleaned their devices in such a way as to preclude complete forensic recovery. Last, we have done extensive work to try to understand what indications there might be of compromise by hostile actors in connection with that personal email system. So that's what we've done. Now let me tell you what we found. There is evidence that they were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information. For example, 7 email chains concern matters that were classified at the top secret special access program at the time they were sent and received. There is evidence to support a conclusion that any reasonable person in Secretary Clinton's position or in the position of those with whom she was corresponding about those matters should have known that an unclassified system was no place for that conversation. In addition to this highly sensitive information, we also found information that was properly classified as secret by the U.S. intelligence community at the time it was discussed on email. That is, excluding any later up-classified emails. None of these emails should have been on any kind of unclassified system, but their presence is especially concerning because all of these emails were housed on unclassified personal servers, not even supported by full-time security staff like those found at agencies and departments of the United States government, or even with a commercial email service like Gmail. And while not the focus of our investigation, we also developed evidence that the security culture of the State Department, in general, and with respect to the use of unclassified systems in particular, was generally lacking in the kind of care for classified information that's found elsewhere in the U.S. government. But given the nature of the system and of the actors potentially involved, we assess we would be unlikely to see such direct evidence. We do assess that hostile actors gained access to the private commercial email accounts of people with whom Secretary Clinton was in regular contact from her personal account. As a result, although the Department of Justice makes final decisions on matters like this, we are expressing to Justice our view that no charges are appropriate in this case.
There, of course, has been speculation that the Clintons are going to go down in a ball of flames, according to Dr. Pachinik, who had a viral video relating to Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express.
Tell me about the president's relationship with a guy named Jeffrey Epstein. That's your tennis match.
What's that? What do you mean?
There's Jeffrey Epstein, who has been gone to jail for being with underage girls, boys, whatever it is, and Bill Clinton's a very good friend of his.
And pedophilia connection, that the accusation and allegation is that the Clintons, both Hillary and Bill, on Lolita Express with their friend Jeffrey, who Bill is very, very friendly with and good friends with, buddies, have been engaging in sexual acts with minors, underage boys and girls in a pedophilia scandal.
The important part to remember is also that not all the information has come out with regards to Weiner and his sexting to a 15-year-old North Carolina teenager. The real issue underlying a lot of Bill Clinton's nefarious activities as well as Hillary Clinton's sexual activities is the fact that we know that both of them have been a major part and participant of what's called the Lolita Express, which is a plane owned by Mr. Jeff Epstein, a wealthy multimillionaire who flies down to the Bahamas and allows Bill Clinton and Hillary to engage in sex with minors. That is called pedophilia.
WikiLeaks bombshell. Assange massive disclosure. The Democratic satanic pedophile ring is exposed. He drops a bombshell of Clinton child prostitution ring. This post you might call play along at home article. Materials we'll look at are as curious as they are disturbing. We're not sure that interpretations of the clue is correct, but we'll need your help. So put on your thinking caps so that you can crack the code together.
Mr. President, I do want to get right to the news of this week.
Sure.
The terrorism in Boston.
Yeah.
Many people have wondered if it took you right back to 9/11 when you heard it.
Well, at first, you know, I was deeply concerned that there might have been a organized plot. I don't know all the facts. I don't think we all know all the facts, but I was deeply concerned that this could have been, you know, another organized, highly organized attack on the country. And it still may be. Again, I don't know the facts, but I do know that it's really hard to protect the homeland.